Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today is November 1st of 2019, and in this video we're actually going to cover several news stories. And we're going to look at the similar coding that's in all of them. First we'll start off with the Nationals winning the World Series. This was numerically related to an event that occurred right around the exact same time, as a gas cylinder explosion caused a fire in Pakistan on a train, killing over 70 people. We're also going to glance at the numerology of a post I did just a couple days ago about Kevin Hart's car accident and how this also had numerology of the Masonic cycle coded into it. So this video is going to be a little bit different. Instead of looking at one news story, we're going to look at several, but the similar coding that sits in between all of them. So I've been doing posts on some of the major baseball games of the postseason, including Howie Kendrick's go-ahead home run against the Dodgers to send the Nationals into the NLCS. I also did a video on Jose Altuve's walk-off home run that sent the Astros to the World Series. And it appears as if all of these major events in baseball are what we call coded experiences, things that happen by the numbers. Whether or not these games are rigged is a matter of personal opinion, but what I can show you is the numerology that has a consistent theme throughout all of this. In fact, the first comment in the chat here is someone mentioning that the 115th World Series ended at exactly 11:50 p.m., which is true. In fact, this is something I noted in my post. The game started at 7:08 Central and lasted 3 hours and 42 minutes, which means that in Washington, the city that won the World Series, it was 11:50 p.m. And this is just an example of how these games all occur by the numbers. Last year in 2018, the Washington Nationals won 82 games. And in Gematria, Washington Nationals equals 82 in reduction. This year, they won 95 games during the season and then 12 games during the postseason, which means they won 107. So the Washington Nationals winning the World Series with their 107th win of the year. But first, let's talk about the Masonic cycle, what this is, why it's important, and how the numerology ties in. The Masonic cycle is what I call the most significant cycle of time, and this has to do with the moon. Every 19 solar years, the moon experiences almost exactly 235 lunar phases. So, of course, on the Gregorian calendar, we have 12 months a year, but if you pay attention to the Hebrew calendar, that calendar has a 13th month added every couple of years. And this is so that this can sync up. 19 times 12 only equals 228. So 7 of these years in every 19-year period must have a 13th lunar phase. And with this basic numerology right here, we can see that something very, very strange is going on with the World Series. So we're talking about 19 tropical years, and of course, this year, 2019, the year that ends in 19. The winner of this year's World Series is the Washington Nationals. Using the alphabetic order, where each letter is assigned a number relative to its position in the alphabet, 1 through 26, Washington Nationals equals 235. Of course, they did not win the World Series at home. They won it on the road at Minute Maid Park. And in ordinal, Minute Maid equals 109, which represents the number 19. This year was the Nationals' first World Series appearance, more specifically Washington, D.C.'s first World Series appearance since the year 33. In reduction, Nationals equals 33. But what's interesting is that if you measure from 1933 to 2019, you get 86 years. When you write out the number 19 as it's spelled in the alphabetic order, it sums to 86. And I don't believe this is arbitrary. 86 is the sum of 19 and 67, which is the 19th prime number. So add 19 to the 19th prime, you get the number 86. And just to demonstrate here, 67, the 19th prime. So this is a very significant number, 19, again, because of its association with the Metonic cycle, and it's coded into English accordingly. So 19 equals 86. The 19th prime is 67. The man who was credited with the win in Game 7, and I always talk about how important these winning pitchers are, this guy was named Patrick Corbin. And in Gematria, Patrick Corbin equals 86 and 67. What's also significant is that they won the game on the date October 30th, written 10/30. A lot like the number 13. Well, in reverse, the number 19 equals 130. This is also the ordinal value of Washington, 130, winning the World Series on 10/30. And this riddle was coded into their season in many ways, and we're just going to look at a couple of them. But the first one is that Washington's World Series run was considered highly unlikely, not just because of how they came back multiple times in the playoffs, but when they started the season, they had a really poor record. They started out 19-31 before turning their season around. And there you go again, the number 19, coded right there. What about the number 31? Well, again, there's 19 years in the Metonic cycle. Using the alphabetic order, Metonic cycle equals 127, which is the 31st prime number. So how appropriate that the Washington Nationals began the season 19-31. So once again, in order to complete the Metonic cycle, the moon must have 13 lunar phases every 7 of 19 years. So the Metonic cycle has 12 years with 12 lunar phases, and then 7 years with 13 lunar phases. So this means every 19 years, 7 of them have a 13th lunar phase. 13th equals 127. 13th month equals 197, just like Metonic cycle. So our language completely coded around this cycle of time in a beautiful fashion. Washington Nationals has Gematria very similar to 197, but consider that this World Series featured the Nationals and Astros. And using the alphabetic order, Nationals-Astros equals 197. Using Satanic Gematria, the word moon equals 197. Of course, in ordinal, moon equals 57. This is the same as Nationals, 57. And their World Series win, which also equals 57, coded in along with the moon. And like I said, there were many Metonic cycles riddles coded in, and I could go probably for hours looking at these. But I just want to point out one particular interesting point of their season. Using English extended gematria, this method, similar to the Hebrew gematria Greek isopsephy charts, Metonic cycle equals 1108. And this can be read like a date on the calendar, like perhaps the 11th of August. Well, on the 11th of August this year, the Washington Nationals won a game to push their record to 62-55. And look at the gematria of Metonic cycle in reduction. 62 reverse, 55 standard reduction. Notice how this was the Mets' 57th loss? Mets equals 57, just like Moon. New York Mets also equals 57, just like Nationals. Now, in this game, the winning pitcher was a man named Matt Grace. Matt Grace was born on the 14th of December in 1988, as you can see there. And on August 11th this year, look how old he was. 11,197 days old. 197 was a number we just covered at length regarding the Metonic cycle just previously. But also, the name Matt Grace in Gematria equals 547, which is the satanic value of Metonic cycle. Notice how the score of that game was 7-4. This guy's name, Matthew Aaron Grace, equals 74. And check out his Jewish gematria, 1412. Isn't that a lot like his birthday, December 14th? The 14th of December. Another really interesting thing about the Washington Nationals season that points to numerology of the moon. This was the Nationals' 15th season in the District of Columbia playing in Washington, but it was their 51st since the franchise began in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. So their 15th season in Washington, 51st overall. The word moon equals 15 and 51. And then this year's World Series was the 115th World Series. And again, the game ended at 11:50 Eastern. 115 is the reverse value of the word Masonic. Washington, D.C., of course, headquarters of Masonic culture. Remember, just a couple days ago, I did a video on the death of umpire Chuck Merriweather, who was 63 years old. He died about a week after Eric Cooper, another umpire who was 52, and if you add their ages, you get 115. The word killing sums to 115 in multiple gematria methods. And speaking of Masonic numerology, there does appear to be a riddle here. Masonry sums to the same as Nationals, 105 and 33. Freemasonry's emblem, the capital G, has gematria of 13 and 33. World Series equals 13 and 33 in Jewish gematria. And I think it was a clue when Bryce Harper left the Washington Nationals before the season. He signed a 13-year, $330 million contract. And just for the record, Freemasonry equals 158. The winning pitcher, Patrick Corbin, of Game 7 was exactly 1,580 weeks old when the game was played, and Washington Nationals win World Series equals 158. By the way, Patrick Corbin, I don't think I looked at his numerology enough. We looked at his gematria, but look at his birthday, July 19th. Remember, Metonic cycle in 19 years both equal 197. The date, July 19th, the 19th day of the 7th month. So how obvious is it that the Metonic cycle is coded into the Nationals World Series victory? Well, if that doesn't convince you, then how about this? So yesterday we got news from Pakistan about a fire on a train that killed over 70 people. Now they're saying 74 people have been killed. Remember, the word Masonic equals 74. Nationals just winning the 115th World Series. So, first of all, before I get into the Metonic cycle coding, which is very obvious, we'll get there, I just want to point out that this fire was on the 31st of October, or the date written 31/10 in Pakistan, Pakistan equals 311, not much unlike the date. Pakistan also equals 53, and the date of this fire had a life lesson number of 53. In Gematria, the word fire equals 29 and 70. Notice the coordinates of this fire: 29 degrees north, 70 degrees east, and now they're saying 70 people died in initial reports. This all ties into the numerology of the president and prime minister of Pakistan. This probably deserves a video on its own, but I just want to focus on the similar coding that goes between this and the World Series. So I pointed out this riddle earlier about the Washington Nationals going 62 and 55 on August 11th. Metonic cycle, 62 and 55. Well, notice the phrase train fire, also equaling 62 and 55. In ordinal, Metonic cycle equals 127 and 197. Also notice the Jewish gematria of 668. Well, if you actually look up the details of this train fire, you'll see that it happened in Rahim Yar Khan district. And look at the gematria of Rahim Yar Khan. It's the same as Metonic cycle, 127, 197, and 668. Remember, this Jewish gematria cipher is similar to English, but it's not really structured the same, so you're going to get different numerology most of the time. So the fact that this has the same gematria as Metonic cycle should blow your mind. Furthermore, the nation of Pakistan declared its independence on August 14th in the year 1947. That means that on the date of this fire, it was 866 months old. Metonic cycle equals 668. But the inverse of this number is definitely a tribute as well. Now, the president of Pakistan has gematria of 1270 in Jewish, just like Metonic cycle equals 127. Well, the prime minister of Pakistan was 67 years and 19 days old. Remember, 19 years in the Metonic cycle, and the 19th prime is 67. Now, here's a news story that's not necessarily related, but actually, the more I think of it, the more it might be. Now, just on October 30th, the same date the Nationals won the World Series in a massive Metonic cycle tribute, we got an update on comedian Kevin Hart, who was in a car accident on September 1st earlier this year. And this news story was posted because Kevin Hart uploaded this, well-edited video detailing his recovery from that back injury that he suffered. Now, I decoded this car accident before the Nationals won the World Series, but I was already picking up on the Metonic cycle coding. And as it turns out, this car accident is completely coded with the same numbers of the Metonic cycle. So first of all, this news story, this update, was published on October 30th, which was a date with 59 numerology. The word accident equals 59, and this was exactly 59 days after Kevin Hart's accident. And 59 is a number that we commonly talk about being coded into stories about black people, and it appears as if the media is the true racist here, not the people of America. Negro, blues, slave, all words that sum to 59. Black History Month ending on the 59th day of the year. As for the date numerology of the crash itself, notice it has 49 and 22 numerology. The word crash equals 49 and 22. But I really want to talk about how the numbers of the Metonic cycle are so significant here. Now, think about the date that he got in this car accident. The date was September 1st, or the first day of the 9th month, like 1/9/19. So the date had two 19s in it. And remember, the Metonic cycle, a period of 19 years. Getting some slow internet today here, guys. Fortunately, I'm upgrading today, so this should improve. Now, when you write out the number 19 in Gematria, notice the Jewish Gematria value of 244. Well, the date that you can write 1/9, the 1st of September, is the 244th day on the calendar. And in my opinion, this all ties into the kill code. In Hebrew Gematria, of course, Hebrew, basically the original Gematria language, it's what the Old Testament was written in, something very mystical about this language. The word kill in Hebrew sums to 19 and 244. So pretty interesting that 19 equals 244, and the date written 1/9 is the 244th day of the year. So on this date, Kevin Hart was riding in a Plymouth Barracuda. Notice how Plymouth Barracuda has Gematria of 1900. Furthermore, Plymouth equals 130 and 86, just like the word 19. Now, 19 is a prime number. That would be the 8th prime number. He injured his back in this story. Back equals 8. Also, check out how back equals 91. This accident on September 1st, or 9/1. The 19th prime number is 67, as we've been talking about. The Greek astronomer credited with figuring out the Metonic cycle is Meton, and his name equals 67. The driver of the Plymouth Barracuda in this news story with Kevin Hart was Jared Black. And check out how his name equals 67. Kevin Hart was born on the 6th day of the 7th month, July 6th. And he was born in the year 79. The word Metonic equals 79 in ordinal. So the name Kevin Hart equals 45. The phrase car accident equals 45. The 45th prime number is 197. Remember this number? Metonic cycle, 197, just like 19 years. And in the car accident, Kevin Hart was riding in a 1970 Plymouth Barracuda. So right there, again, we have the number 197. Every 19 years, 7 of them have a 13th month. 13th month, 197. Kevin Hart's full name is Kevin Darnell Hart. Check out how Kevin Darnell equals 197, 55, 127, just like Metonic cycle. Same numbers, different ciphers. Actually, the same ciphers. Now, we pointed out how Metonic cycle equals 668. Remember, Pakistan was 866 months old? Well, if you measure from the date Kevin Hart was born, July 6th, 1979, to the date of his accident, he was 14,668 days old. Not only that, but he was also a span of 1 month and 27 days after his birthday. Metonic cycle, 127. So I feel like this is so undeniable that this coding is being employed somehow in our news stories. Now, the question remains, does this mean that the car accident was fake? And I know, I guarantee a year ago I would have been telling you it was. But it's interesting, man. I mean, you watch this video and he's got a real scar on his back that looks like it could have been from surgery. You know, he's walking around the house with all this stuff. Are they really going to these lengths to fake these things? Again, my opinion on this matter doesn't necessarily mean anything, but I can show you the numbers. It's just that so often we see fake things happen in the media and we don't get any footage like this, right? Where like the person is actually in their hospital bed or anything. So, again, whether or not you think this is all staged fakery, that's your call. Personally, I think there's something greater going on. You know, I'm still trying to figure everything out, I guess, myself. I just don't know what to believe. There was definitely something fishy about Kevin Hart's accident. It seems like he may have been the driver of the car. Like, you know, they got in the accident, but then they didn't call police and ambulances until they got home. So there was something fishy about it. But is it that it didn't happen? I don't know. So I don't know. You know, I'd like for Kevin Hart to see this video, and you know, in this recovery video, he's talking about how, you know, this whole accident and recovery was a lesson for him, and it kind of showed him a little bit about what he needs to do, how he needs to take things into perspective, slow down a little bit. Well, if he's right, and this car accident was a message from God, wouldn't it make sense that that message was coded by the numbers? Because I believe that God's work is coded by the numbers. So my opinion would be that, you know, this maybe could have really happened. It probably did. And, you know, again, a year ago I would have definitely said it was fake, but I don't know, guys. Trying to figure it all out, and I feel like we're getting closer to the truth. It's just, you know, if this was all fake, like, why would they do it? I don't know. Again, my opinion doesn't count. The numbers are what's important, and the fact that this is happening is super fascinating. So I'm going to end the video there. I just wanted to show you guys the clear coding between all these news stories and all of these things happening within a day. You know what I mean? And, yeah, this Masonic cycle, legit stuff. And keep it in mind, you know, whenever you're looking at the number 19 or 244, 197, things like that, it's probably part of Masonic cycle riddle in some way. So, all right, everyone, thanks for jumping in. Hope everyone has a great weekend. I think I am going to do my video on the Anarchadelphia presentation I did about a month and a half ago, finally. Really want to get that out there and put a baseline of study out there for the Eclipse Crucifixion Code so people have an easy reference to go to when they want to learn about it. So we'll be doing that this weekend likely. Yeah, again, that'll do it. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Peace, love, God bless. All that other good stuff. Take it easy, guys. See ya.